What you know, Alibiers? Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Good to have you here. It's Thursday, December 4th. We're going to go through the second part of the day 4 of the Brian Walshe trial. But before we do, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. And liking the video is the best way you can help this podcast. So I appreciate y'all. Next up on the stand was Christopher Murphy. Back in January of 2023, he was a salesman at a paint company for over a year. They were running a 15% off special for any work that people might need done, and they called past customers to tell them about their special. He reached out to Brian. At first, Brian didn't need any work done, but he called him again and got a text back from Brian. He sent a photo of that big hole in the ceiling and said that needed repairing. They show the photos that he texted to him. They show the text Brian sent, which had his name and his address, which was new from the last time they used this service. The next witness, Suzanne Garland. She owns Bar Method Studio. She knew Anna for years and had taken classes with her for several years prior to owning her own studio. Anna joined after COVID and came 3 or 4 times a week. She said Anna had to sign off that she was fit to take classes. Anna emailed her when she found out she was getting that job in D.C., saying that she needed to pause her membership. When she came back, she emailed the witness on December 30th, saying that she had signed up for a class but wanted to take more classes since she was planning to be home more in January. Anna reserved December 31st, and she checked in at 8:17 p.m. The witness said that Anna's medical waiver is a self-report, meaning you don't have to go get checked out. The next witness was Ashley Semino. She is a bar instructor at the gym Anna went to. She met Anna way back in 2011 at the time the witness worked at the front desk, and Anna would typically come for those lunch sessions, and she would come almost daily. She saw Anna at a Celtics game where the witness was a dancer. She said Anna was so warm. There was an objection to her saying that. She had also met Brian at Bar Method once or twice. 31st, 2022, the witness was working teaching the morning class. Anna was in her 8:15 a.m. class, and that was the witness's first class teaching. She said Anna was about 10 minutes late. She says with the Bar Method classes, you work all your muscles to exhaustion, and then they do stretches to make your muscles longer and leaner. She said Anna was a powerhouse during that class. And the Commonwealth is bringing this in to dispute the defense claims that she died suddenly just hours later after being a powerhouse in these classes. She didn't notice any injuries on Anna, and Anna did not make her aware of any. Anna was planning to come to more sessions and asked the witness for her schedule since that was her favorite instructor. On cross, they asked when she last talked to the prosecutor about her testimony that she gave today, and she says back in August. The defense says you're not a doctor or a nurse, and you didn't perform any medical tests on Anna December 31st. No, the witness is not aware of any pulmonary issues. And then the defense asked if she was a pulmonary doctor, and she says no. She wasn't aware of any cardiac or neurological issues that Anna may have had that was undiagnosed. Prior to December 31st, it had been years since she last saw Anna. The next witness is Janet Cotter. She reached out to the Cohasset Police Department back in January 2023. She had a 15-minute talk with Anna at the nail salon on New Year's Eve. She did not know Anna before that, but she said Anna was a very friendly, open, and warm person. Anna told the witness she was in commercial real estate in D.C. and lived there, but she also lived in Cohasset. She told her she had 3 sons and her husband was helpful with their sons. She told about her plans to have a friend over on New Year's Eve, and she said on New Year's Day she was looking to go to a special dinner with Brian and was very much looking forward to it. She also saw no injuries on her, and there was no cross. The next witness, Julie Bassler, she works for the daycare where Brian and Anna's sons went to. They enrolled in September of 2022, but the oldest ended up going to public school. Brian and occasionally his mom would be there when they dropped off the kids, but usually only Brian would pick up. She saw Anna a few times at pickups, usually on a Friday, and she only saw her maybe 3 or 4 times. At one point, her and Brian talked about the boys leaving the center to move to D.C. She asked him about it, but it wasn't definite. It was in the works. Brian dropped the boys off on January 3rd and 4th, so after Anna had been killed. As far as his demeanor, she said he went through another door and not through the office as usual. The witness and a coworker did say hello, but she said he was in a rush. He was saying, "Come on, boys, let's go." And she said it was different than their usual conversations. On cross, you said his demeanor was different, and the witness said he would usually have small talk. But the witness did say that Brian seemed like an involved parent. The next witness, Hampel Waldrop, she's the general manager and the head of maintenance and says she does everything at the Claremont apartment complex in Abington. That complex is for elderly, or as I like to say, seasoned veterans at living life. I don't like elderly. They also house people with disabilities. They do have surveillance outside. There are 3 cameras in the back parking lot and then 1 out front. And they have 3 dumpsters there for the apartment complex. They bring in video from January 3rd, 2023. And in that video, you see the Volvo enter the frame. She didn't recognize the car as one she knew to be tied to one of her residents. They fast forward, and the view is where the 2 dumpsters are located. The dumpsters are gated, but they're not locked. You see the car pull up and go to the side of the dumpster, and at some point you see it looks like he is carrying bags to the dumpster. You see the car back up and kind of make half a U-turn and leave. On cross, is there any signage on the dumpster that says when the trash would be picked up? No. Their website also doesn't tell. On redirect, after Tuesday, January 3rd, the dumpster would have been picked up the next day, and the witness says yes. The last witness of the day was Connor Keefe. He is a trooper for the Massachusetts State Police for the Norfolk County DA's office. He does forensics for electronics. On January 5th, he went to the Cohasset Police Department to analyze Verizon's cell phone records for Anna. He explains how Verizon pings a phone for law enforcement. They'll ask to ping the phone to give an estimated location of the phone in relation to the tower's location. They got data for January 1st through the 5th. The last time Anna's phone interacted with the network was January 2nd at 3:14 a.m., and that was near Reservoir Road in Cohasset. A quarter mile was the distance between the phone and the cell tower. On January 2nd at 4:13 a.m., Verizon could not give an estimated distance. The final activity from the Verizon network was January 4th at 4:14 a.m. There was a signal, but the network could not connect with the device. On January 6th, the witness received 3 devices from Lieutenant John Fanning. He got an iPhone 13 mini and 2 iPads. He went to the digital forensics lab at the DA's office and ran the iPhone through Cellebrite to extract the data. He said that can take hours. That information goes to their forensics server at the office, and only people assigned to that forensic lab have access to it. January 7th, he finished downloading all devices before lunch, and then those were returned back to Brian. He explains the data is in raw format, so they use Cellebrite, which makes it readable and interactive. They can see phone calls, text messages, browsing history, photos, videos, and more. They also get data from the provider, which is good for more specific location data. The range of the data that he got was December 25th, 2022 through January 6th. For the iPhone 13 mini, the subscriber information was Diana Walshe, which is Brian's mom, and that was effective December 22nd, 2022. For the iPhone 13 mini, January 5th, 8 a.m., that was in the area of his home. And then at 9:30 a.m., the phone was pinged in the area of Brian's mom's place. It's stationary at the corner of the complex, and surprise, surprise, that's where the trash compactor is. They did not see his phone go into her apartment. And looking at historical data, on December 27th, the phone is in the general area of the building as opposed to where the dumpster is, which means they had something to compare for when he was likely inside his mother's house. The witness alerted his supervisors when he saw the location near the dumpster area on January 5th. And he made a PowerPoint showing the location the phone was pinged at. So remember, the first day he had his son's iPhone SE because he said he couldn't find his. At 5:07 p.m., that was at his mother's apartment. 5:41, the phone was at Lowe's. 6:24, a CVS parking lot. 6:53, a Stop and Shop in Swampscott, which is near his mom's house. 8:03 p.m., a Stop and Shop in Cohasset. 8:31, the phone is back at Brian's home. January 2nd, 9:30 a.m., he is at a Home Goods in a TJ Maxx parking lot. January 2nd, we start to see Brian's phone ping. 4:15 p.m., Home Depot parking lot. 5:14, he's at a shopping complex. 6 p.m., Stop and Shop in Cohasset. 6:13, a Walgreens in Cohasset. January 3rd, Claremont Apartments in Abington. 4:48, Point Apartments in Abington. 5:14, Chatham West Apartments in Brockton. January 4th, 9:44 a.m., a Home Goods in TJ Maxx in Norwell. 12:47 p.m., a Walgreens in Cohasset. 4:25, he is at a Lowe's. January 5th, 9:30 a.m., Venon Square Apartments in Swampscott. He was next to a large trash compactor. They did get the Safari search history from December 25th, 2022 through January 4th, 2023 on Brian's phone. December 25th, these start at 11:52 a.m. We know at that point Anna likely not home because her flight was canceled and she had to drive. 11:52 a.m., there was a search. Check a flight JetBlue. 12:09 p.m., William Fasto, DC Real Estate. He searched for this twice in the same minute. 12:22, Anna Walshe, Tishman Spire. 12:28, Christmas Day plane crash. 12:31, Jeff Chad, Tishman Spire. 12:45, Anna Walshe found dead. 12:46, he searched for someone named Jeff. 8:22, Autobahn. December 27th, 6:57 a.m., he searches for the song by George Strait, All My Exes. December 29th, 9:13 p.m., Mazda Building, Washington. He searches for that again 2 minutes later. 9:15 p.m., Crossing Building, Washington, D.C. January 2nd, 6:42 p.m., I'm Good. I believe that's a song. 11:25 a.m., Washington, D.C. Police. January 3rd, How to File a Missing Persons Report. 7:27, Washington, D.C. Police Department. The next day, January 4th, 10:11 a.m., The Crossing, Washington. 10:14 a.m., Mazda Building, Washington, D.C. 10:15, Jeff Chad Tishman. 10:56, Will Fasto, and then another with a different spelling of his name. 1:26 p.m., there was an Apple Maps search. And at 2:49 p.m. again, I Am Good. They start getting into websites he visited. December 31st, 9:28 a.m., casinos.bally's.com. At 9:30 a.m., MGM Springfield, mgmresorts.com. A minute later, he visited that site again. They also looked at his iPhone and picked out texts with certain numbers that he made reports for. This got a little confusing. They would give the last four digits of the number. Sometimes it's hard to hear as well when counsel approaches the witness and he's not on mic. Think I got this right, but if not, let me know. Happy to correct it. January 5th, 8:45. There was a text from Brian to the guy he contacted about repairing the ceiling, and we're going to call him the paint guy. Another message from Brian to the paint guy. There were two images of the ceiling attached. January 6, 2023 at 7:49 a.m., Brian texts the paint guy, "Good morning. Let me know about the ceiling. Best, Brian." There was a text to someone. They don't say who the last four digits of the phone belong to, but Brian says, "Hello. I called hospitals and they don't have Anna. Thank you for your support, Brian. Please let us know if you have any updates." There was an incoming text to Brian which says Hugh Dunleavy, and they give a phone number. Text from a Teresa to Brian. "Hi, Brian. I believe Hugh has been in touch with you and understand the police are taking over. I adore Anna. Thinking of you and the boys. Please let me know if you need anything, Teresa." That was read January 4th at 8:10 p.m. The next day, January 5th, 4:12 p.m. Brian, good evening, Teresa. Thanks for your support during these difficult days. The private investigators want to know if Anna had any vacation days this week. Thank you again. Best, Brian. P.S. We adore Anna too. Looking forward to her coming home soon, and she spoke very highly of you always. Kind of past tense, the way I'm reading it. January 5th, 4:17 p.m. Are there Tishman Spire personnel at the Mazda building? There was a text read by Brian January 2nd, 2023 at 3:05 p.m. I did not catch who this was from, but it said, "Thank you so much, Brian. Happy New Year's. I hope you're well." Brian responds, "Hello. I know we did this a week ago, but have you heard from Anna?" That wasn't read until 12:51 p.m. And the person responds, "Hey, Brian, sorry for the delay. Was asleep, have the flu, super sick. I texted with Anna New Year's Day, but no, haven't heard from her. Is she working today? She's usually super busy running around with work." Brian responds right back, "You're right. I'll let you know when she calls. Feel better soon." January 4th, 10:10 a.m. Did you ever hear back? Brian says, "No, they're looking for her at work now." The witness explains that Viber is a messaging app, and that's where these next texts were sent to. It was to an Alexandra, who I believe is Anna's sister. January 3rd, 10:35 a.m. Brian texts Alexandra, "Happy New Year. Have you heard from Anna? She's been out of contact longer than normal. Speak soon." 11:24 a.m. Alexandra, "Hello. No, I haven't. Last time was December 31st. Brian said she had to leave early due to an emergency at one of the buildings. She left early on Sunday morning. I didn't have my phone till last night," and he names one of his sons who hid it, and the other son found it. "I wasn't worried at first, but she has never been this long out of communication. I will call her work tomorrow morning." 9:12 p.m. Alexandra to Brian, "I know. Let me know if you get in touch with her. I will let you know if I speak to her." Alexandra says that means no communication for almost days. If she's not at work tomorrow or they haven't heard from her, what are you going to do? Brian says call everybody she knows in D.C. and then file a missing persons. Let's hope there's an explanation. Into the next day, January 4th, 10:33 a.m. They can't find her at work. 10:59, Alexandra replies, "I think you need to report this ASAP." Now, the next part was so confusing, and that's why this is so late, because I was trying to figure out who the heck was in this group text. It was Anna, Brian, and their friend Jim who came over on New Year's Eve. There was a text read, I'm assuming by Brian, on January 2nd at 2:26 p.m. There was a photo with a text from Jim that says, "I love my necklace." And then Jim to the group, "Last night was so good, thank you." To Anna, the chef, "World class and company equally so." Brian texts Jim, "Looking good, buddy. My son just found my phone. It was in my other son's bed." Another amazing New Year's Eve together as a triumvirate, which that's a group of 3 people who share power, by the way. "Looking good in your new necklace." Jim says, "My necklace made a big splash yesterday as I wore it everywhere. I got double takes in the streets and at a Whole Foods in Swampscott." Jim to Brian, January 4th. "Her phone is going directly to voicemail." Another text by Jim, "Any news? Have you alerted everybody at her work and the DC police?" Then Jim, "Hey buddy, can you send me the photos we took on New Year's Eve?" That was read, I believe, the next day. January 5th, 11:30 a.m., Brian texts Jim, "All the photos were taken on Anna's phone. I don't have any." Then they go through dates and times of phone calls between them before New Year's Eve. And that was it for the day. Sorry this is late, but honestly, y'all, with all these different 4-digit numbers and sometimes the Commonwealth not being very close to that mic, it was just me trying to push my AirPods in my ear to figure it out, because I really wanted to make sure I got it right, That is it for today. Now, don't forget, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, we will be live streaming for day 5, so come join us. That is it for tonight. I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening, and we will see you soon.